Radio 20 for 20% off and free shipping. Thanks, guys.
Simply claim your 5
vacations and electronics. The odds of winning a prize are 1 in 30.
Extra incentive to get your raffle tickets.
Well, no.
She's got big ribs and candied yams, sugar-cured Virginia hams, a basement full of those berry jams. That's what I like about the cornbread, turnip greens, ham hocks and buttered beans, Mardi Gras down in New Orleans. That's what I like about the
Two-Cat Kitchen. It's time for us to pitch in and start another Two-Cat show. Down at the Two-Cat Kitchen, we're starting on a mission to put you in the culinary know. We've got the finest recipes you ever will find, guaranteed to show you all a mighty fine time here at the Two-Cat Kitchen. Time for a new edition of the culinary Two-Cat show. The culinary Two-Cat show.
Welcome to the Two-Cat Kitchen, the show that mixes musical mayhem with culinary calamity. David Lucan is here to help with the mixing, and David is also a member of the band Alpaca Lunch, and they are our special musical guests this episode. David and the lads are standing by in Studio C, and they're going to start us off with a musical number. Let's check it out. We're back at the Two-Cat Kitchen, and we're here with Alpaca Lunch. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being on the kitchen.
Thanks for having us here.
Hey,
Thank you.
David, introduce us to the members of the band.
To my right, we have Greg Mata on guitar, harmonica, what else?
Vocals.
Pleasantries.
And that's it.
And to Greg's left is me, David Lucan. I play ukulele and bass and sing. And to my left is, introduce yourself.
I am Matt Pottle.
Matt Pottle plays everything, mostly fiddle.
No stranger to the podcast, I might add. A podcast guest already, sort of.
We've got a couple Two-Cat veterans in the mix here.
Really?
Including to Matt's left.
Kipper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Kipper was on an episode too.
Kipper's a dog. He's an honorary alpaca
Kipper on the thump.
And then to Kipper's left is introduce yourself.
I'm Rory McLeod. I've also been on a Two Cat Kitchen podcast
Great.
with Kipper.
And Rory plays
The twangy.
I wish.
And the boom chuck.
guitar, banjo, occasionally bass.
Nice.
And then I guess that's it.
Okay.
Back to you, Rick.
So how long have you guys been playing together? This is the question you always get.
During COVID, we played at an alpaca farm for a farmer's market. That was before we had our name. And we we played every Friday night, was it? Or Saturday morning? It was
Something.
Saturday morning, then it went to Friday night.
Yeah.
And that's how the whole thing got started.
And when was COVID? How many?
It's still here.
Yeah. So did you guys know each other before you got together at the alpaca farm? Or
Yes. Oh, yes.
so you would maybe run into each other musically speaking? Or?
Quite a bit, yes.
Okay.
Not, Matt Pottle had taken fiddle lessons from my wife, Sandal. And that's how we knew Matt.
Yeah, and then...
And then you surpassed her.
Yeah. Sure.
In arm wrestling.
Right, yeah, that one.
Great. So so you kind of, and would you like run into each other at jam sessions or something like that, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
There's kind of a kind of pool of individuals that we tend to see a lot and play with a lot, and so we all know each other pretty well from the old time music scene.
Okay.
David and I were in a band quite a while ago called Fly Around.
Okay.
That was old time.
And then the call came out from the alpaca farm, and you guys put it together, right? You just got whoever was available, or
Yeah, I don't.
More or less.
Greg and Matt had played together.
Yeah, we've played
before
a bunch.
on Alpaca, quite a bit. They,
nice.
And I played a little bit with you guys. I rehearsed with you guys.
We had a trio.
Oh, yeah, we
the
played for a
Goathead
little
String
bit.
Band.
Yeah.
For years. A couple of years. With Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
This is
Mike
I'm learning things.
Mike who?
I didn't know about that.
You never met Mike.
I don't know his last name either, to be honest. Or I don't recall it, but my memory is not
No,
so
I don't
good,
recall
so.
it either. But,
That was a long time, but I didn't know him very well.
Greg, what's your? I mean, like you just showed up. I knew all these other people, and then you just.
well, I come by way of Matt.
Matt and Greg practiced every Sunday here for quite a while.
But we've been playing
I met
together
at the
for
Jammers.
Right here.
And then we were, like, playing for a while, just him and I.
Yeah.
And I would go over his house. This was pre-baby. And we would just play, like, all day. Every weekend. And then we started, then he moved here into your abode. And then I would come here. And that's where I met Rory.
We wouldn't play all day, though.
No.
You had a baby by then.
Yeah, we would.
Oh, really? Oh.
Well, once I had a baby, that stopped.
Were you always an old time player, Greg? I mean, you're.
No.
I feel like you have a feel for the blues. You play the harp.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So how did you start doing that?
Well, I've been playing harmonica, like, basically since I was like 12. And tried to play jazz on the harmonica. That didn't work out. So I started playing, like, some blues stuff, and that's fine. But then I, like, went to Ireland and saw some, like, Irish music, and then I decided I wanted to do that.
Did they have harmonica players?
No, but it just seemed like it would be, like, suited to it. So
the accordion.
Yeah.
The accordion is a diatonic.
It is. So
instrument.
it just seemed suited. So I wanted to do that, and then like I just like think I Googled Irish fiddle music and found the Jammers, which I had no idea the difference. And then I met Matt, and he told me what the deal was.
There is a difference.
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was bluegrass, actually, when I first heard, like, the South County Jammers.
Right.
I was like, well, this is bluegrass.
Just so everyone...
Which I was incorrect about that, too.
Yeah, but everyone else thinks so, too.
So then I found it, like, extremely suiting to the harmonica. And then I discovered, like, David Rice and Seth Shoemate and Mark Graham on the YouTubes. And that's how I basically am, like, just learned from... shaped my style from them.
And Matt got you into old-time music?
Well, we met kind of collectively, kind of exploring at the Jammers. I'm trying to think of how long ago it actually was.
Well, that was when you were taking lessons from Bragger,
Yeah.
and we were just learning all the Bragger tunes.
Yeah.
Man, this is deep history.
Deep history. These are deep cuts.
Yeah. So there's a lot of history behind Alpaca Lunch. Maybe that's part of what makes it such a powerful force.
So anyway, I have a question. How do you decide on your repertoire? Is it just whatever you guys do it democratically, or is somebody in charge?
Nobody's in charge.
yeah.
Absolutely. If anyone was in charge, we'd have our other fiddle player.
Things bubble to the surface.
Okay.
Whether old or new.
Oh, that's nice. So somebody throws out a song, says let's do this one, and then if people like it, you just
sink or float.
Sink or float.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, tunes are much easier to learn than songs. So you can learn like
What's the difference?
Like a tune as in like a no words repetitive melody is much faster to learn than like a song. So I feel like if you throw out a tune, it's much more likely to get learned than a song is a little bit harder to stick. I don't know if anyone else agrees with that.
No, totally. No, you're just the explanation. One, you sing and have to memorize the words. The other, you just remember the melody.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why we don't know too many songs.
And they're all, we don't write anything. Like, these are all just, they exist. They're mostly old songs and tunes from early 1900s, like 20s, 30s, 40s, and there's all these old recordings you can find, you can look them up. It's incredible the amount of material that's out there. So everybody's always discovering new tunes and songs and bringing them to the band to check out. And yeah, so we're constantly developing our repertoire.
We're back at the kitchen, and you guys do some songs, right? Are you
we love songs.
You like songs?
Songs. We love songs.
Does anyone in particular sing your songs, or does everybody take a shot at it?
Everybody.
We all shoot for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we miss the mark. Sometimes we don't.
Well, it's the effort. It's at least you're trying. And so I think you are going to grace us with a song right now. What do you got in mind?
We have a waltz that Rory and I sing. It's called the Green Valley Waltz. And we understand that our version is by George Edgins and his Corn Dodgers.
Which is a band.
Which is a band from the 30s. They recorded a few sides.
David also sings another song from them.
So you do a couple of their numbers. Yeah. How do you find these bands? I'm just curious, people might be interested in how you come up with like these which I would think would be kind of obscure songs. And is it on the YouTubes, or is it old like acetates?
There's a website called Slippery Hill that a lot of people use as a resource. So I can't speak for where David got it, because I'm wondering.
I'm not sure that the songs are there as much.
That,
Slippery Hill has tunes mostly, it seems like, but
the first one you do is on there. The second one, no. The Waltz is not on there that I could find.
Did you just hear it somewhere, David?
It's a very fierce competition to find something that no one else has heard before. And we just dig, it's like dig through the universe and find stuff and bring it in, and that's what happens.
So we're not going to get the secret there, because you don't want the others to know.
I don't think there is no secret. I mean, the secret to me is like how people before the internet did it. Like how did anyone? You had to just dig through old, like you go to a record store and you look at records, but they don't have like these ancient recordings generally. So we have it way easier. We can search in various ways on the internet, and there's all because it's a community, they collectively like store and compile all of these recordings digitally, and we have a very precious, massive hard drive of recordings, of digitized recordings, called the Jacques Box.
Okay.
And so a lot of things come off of that.
Got it.
But there's also the internet. There's also Slippery Hill and from Berea College, where David went to school. One of the reasons we know David is because he came to this class that we were taking, and he said he was from Berea College, and we were very impressed. But he didn't know that was an impressive place to have been from, having for old time, because Berea College has all the field recordings from the Southern Appalachian music. It's lovely.
I even had a job where I vacuumed in the archives of the library at Berea College, where they store all of these archival recordings, and I had no idea.
What do you study there?
Japanese, no Chinese.
Independent major, Asian studies, serving me well as a handyman contractor now. But anyway, Berea is amazing, but I was not aware of its value as a source for old time, because I didn't know about old time until I came to Rhode Island, ironically.
All right, so with that, we're going to get into the song. This is the Green Valley Waltz. We're back with Alpaca Lunch, and Rory, wanted to ask you about your banjo and your banjo playing. Do you have any particular style of banjo you're trying to go for, or are you?
I'm just trying to make as much sound as possible.
Well, that's
no.
not...
I do like. My favorite banjo players are very rhythmic, and that's what I am. That's what I shoot for. And hopefully sometimes I make it and sometimes I don't.
I wonder, how long have you been playing banjo, if you don't mind?
I was given a banjo in 2000, and I played it for a while. It rode around my truck at work. I worked for the phone company, and I practiced it for when there was in between jobs, and then eventually I started to get some idea of what to do, and that's what happened.
So I don't know if you remember, but you used to work on an island, and I worked on the same island.
Oh, you worked on, that's right.
And one time we were coming
Island.
back on a ferry, and I saw you were sitting in your truck, and you said, "Hey, come on, sit in here." And you pull out your banjo, and you said, "Check out this tune."
What tune do you remember?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But you were playing this tune, and sitting in your Verizon truck.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we were coming back on the ferry.
Was it in the truck then?
Yeah.
Okay, because usually the truck lived there on the island. So.
Well, I'm pretty sure we were sitting in the truck because it was raining.
Could be. Oh.
And I was like, there wasn't much room in the cabin because they don't have much of a cabin. And I was kind of like half sitting out in the rain, and you kind of
come on in. Okay.
Then I remember the windows all fogged up. And then when I went back to the people I was with, they were like, "What was that all about?" The guy in the Verizon truck had a banjo.
Yeah. Well, that was, I got a lot of practice done on Prudence Island because they'd hope that I'd take the early ferry off, and usually happen. I wasn't able to do that, so I'd have like 3 hours to practice.
Yeah, it was there weren't very many ferries.
No.
Yeah.
Convenient.
All right, so you guys have a tune for us.
Yes,
it is.
It's called the 28th of January.
Excellent.
Who is it by?
Franklin George.
Franklin George.
All right, here it is.
Today is June 19th, 2012, and we're here in St. Mary's, West Virginia, in the home of Mrs. Mildred McFadden. Mrs. McFadden has graciously agreed to be interviewed for this oral history project titled Gathering the Stories of Appalachian Foodways. My name is Katie Bills. I am from St. Mary's in Pleasant County, West Virginia, and I am a senior at Berea College, which is located in Berea, Kentucky. This project is being supported by the Appalachian College Association Colonel Lee B. Ledford Research Scholarship Award. My mentor for this research project is Dr. Margaret Dotson, Associate Professor in the Child and Family Studies Department at Berea College. First, we would like to thank Mrs. McFadden for agreeing to participate in this interview. Could you tell me about your earliest memories in the kitchen? Anything about the kitchen?
Oh, yes. Francis and I, we did the dishes. That was our job, washing dishes. And we had to stand on boxes to reach the sink. And I think sometimes we argued over who was going to wash them and who was going to dry them. And yes, we never knew anything about a dishwasher, and I still I don't have a dishwasher. I didn't want one when we built the house. I said, no, I don't want a dishwasher, because a lot of things you have to wash anyway. So I didn't want a dishwasher. And but anyway, we did our chores. Because we were the two oldest ones, and we had our jobs we had to do. And I started out working when we lived out on Federal Ridge. I expect I was about 13, 14 years old. Of course, Mom had taught Francis and I both to do things around the house, but now I don't remember too much about the cooking. I don't know if she didn't trust us doing that, but I know Mom was always a good cook, and she had, sometimes it was sparingly what we had to eat sometimes. And
could you describe the kitchen, like the kind of stove and?
Yes, we had wood stove, and it was probably about which is just the stove. I don't remember it having a back on it, and maybe it did, but it had 4 lids. And then you had a hook about a foot long. Of course, it wasn't very wide, and there would be a place down in the lid, a place down there that you could hook down in there and lift that lid off. Mm-hmm. If you needed to, if you wanted to set a kettle down in closer to the fire. And then I remember that in cooking, and then it had four lids, and I don't know, can't remember if they were all the same size or not, the lids. And but my grandmother Lucas, she had a bigger stove than what Mom and Dad had, and it had a back on it, and it had a warming closet up over. And my grandma Williamson did too. She had a big stove.
Did you have a refrigerator?
No. At my Grandma Williamson's, she had a granary building, and they kept their meat in there in the wintertime. They always butchered 2 or 3 hogs. Grandpa would cure the meat, the hams and the shoulders. He had a big table in there that he would put his hams and shoulders and the side meat on that table, and he mixed up his own meat cure, so brown sugar and hickory smoke flavoring stuff he put in it, and so much salt and sugar. And boy, the meat was really good. He would put that all over them. I don't remember how many times, if he put it on more than once or not, but it sure made that meat taste good. And Grandma Winson, they would make sausage. They always ground up heads, made sausage, and make head meat, and it'd make sausage. And she would put it in crocks, and then put it in, bake it, cook it, and then when it get cold, then that grease would come up to the top, and that grease would be all over the top of it, and that sort of sealed it, and then she'd slice it. Get ready. And what I was going to tell you, this granary building, underneath of it was her cellar. And she kept her milk, crocks of milk, sitting on it. The floor was all rock. And, of course, it wasn't smooth, how rock would be. But she had level places. And she would sit the gallon crocks on the floor, and she kept that floor just as clean, and it would be wet, and that seemed like to keep it cool in there. And that's where she'd skim the cream off of that milk and put it in, she had a great big jar. We have used gallon glass jars. Put the lid on and shake it. Just put that cream in there and we'd shake it. Some of us kids always get that job. Boy, you had to be careful you didn't drop that, especially on the floor where it burst. And a little while it would take long for butter to come. You wouldn't have very much buttermilk. We called it buttermilk then. There wasn't much buttermilk left. Your butter would be in there floating around in the milk. And get butter out, and Grandma would put salt it. And then the men generally like to have that fresh buttermilk. They'd get a glass and get their fresh buttermilk, put a little bit of salt and pepper on it in the top of the glass and drink that down. It was good then. It didn't get, but if it set it for a while, it gets sour. Mm-hmm.
Matt, I know that some fiddle players have a particular style they're trying to play, or maybe some fiddle players that they're trying they kind of try to emulate a little bit. Maybe who do you listen to, or who are you kind of going after with your style of playing?
Well, I really love Tommy Jarrell, or Tommy Jarrell, as we have been affectionately saying or mumbling.
Yeah.
Who is a round peak style fiddle player. And I'm just very drawn to the rhythmic, incredible rhythmic playing that he does. So that was what really first drew me to it. So that was the big one. If there was one, that would probably be the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And he's is he like an Appalachian kind of fiddle guy? I seem to recall. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. And some really great banjo playing as well.
Yeah.
He played with some fantastic banjo players. He's definitely not the only player I really like, but his playing is what I kind of try to instill in mine as much as I can.
Yeah. And he's really well known, I think, too, because even I've recognized the name.
Where is he from?
I thought he was, I'm going to look to Rory exactly for where, but he's...
West Virginia?
Yeah.
No, North Carolina.
But near the border, I thought, was the town.
Northern North Carolina.
Right.
But I don't know the town.
Yeah. It's escaping me as well. But, yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of the style that the rhythmic kind of style.
The region is called Round Peak.
Right.
Round Peak.
Yeah.
Got it. Interesting.
And he sings that song you do, What You Gonna Do with the Baby, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
Nice.
I don't do it quite like he does, but...
Yeah, maybe we'll check that song out. And then one other question I had is, I was looking at your fiddle. Where did you get your fiddle?
Well, I got it unknowingly when I was just getting started at a violin shop. Had I known, I would have waited. But I still do really like it. I don't know much about it. I even tried to contact the person on the label, who is a guy, Lyons. Found their name on the label on the inside of the fiddle, and I heard no response whatsoever. So I got no information on how old it is apart from the 2004 thing stamped on the inside.
But you bought it from a pretty famous fiddle maker.
No, he did set it up though. I couldn't afford one of his. I really wanted one of his. Bob McCluskey was the one who set the fiddle up for me initially.
Where's Bob located?
He is I was living outside DC. He's either in Maryland or he was in Virginia. I can't remember where he was. Very, very nice, and set up the fiddle for me.
Because you lived in DC for a bit.
Outside DC for a little while, yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, since you mentioned the tune, the song rather, not the tune, it's what is the title of it again?
What are you gonna do with the baby?
What are you gonna do with the baby? Sounds intriguing. Well, let's find out.
Baby that, baby killed my old bobcat. What you gonna do with the baby? What you gonna do with the baby? What you gonna do with the baby? Tablecloth, throw 'em up and sable off. What you gonna do with the baby? What you gonna do with the baby? What you gonna do with the baby? Wrap him up in calico and smack his bottom and let him go. What you gonna do with the baby? What you gonna do with the baby? What you gonna do with the baby? Baby laughed, baby cried, stuck my finger in the baby's eye. What you gonna do with the baby? What you gonna do with the baby? What you gonna do with the baby? Last one.
One, two, three, four.
making biscuits 3 times a day. She would cut a 25-pound flour sack. She had a big flour barrel outside the kitchen door. And of course there was a roof over the porch. And she kept her flour barrel right in the corner of the porch and right by the door where you'd come out of the kitchen. Right there would be the flour barrels. And they would buy flour by I think they would get, I don't know how many bags. She'd get several bags. She knew how many it would take, 25-pound bags, to fill that barrel. And she would dump it in there. And she'd just go to that flour barrel and fill up her pan. And she cut that was her flour, where she would cut one of the bags in 2, and so it'd make a pretty good size, sheet. And that was what she'd make her biscuits on. Put the dough out on that and roll it out and cut the biscuits. Mm-hmm. And she'd fold it up and save it for the next meal. Mm-hmm. And she's the one that had the big stove, and the gas stove, and kept it burning all the time. Mm-hmm. That stove burned day and night because it was free gas. And another thing, in the fall, we could get behind that stove, and there was a window back there, and it was a space probably this wide we could get behind that stove, or maybe not quite that wide. And we would peel apples, cut them in chunks, and string them on strings, and tie them back there, and let them dry. And so had dried apples and dried beans, green beans, string them, break strings off each end, and have your needle and twine, and stick a bean right in the middle, stick a needle up through that bean, and till you got a string of beans, string them on there and hang them back there. Had dried beans, dried apples, and they were good. And the apples had turned brown, and then when they were cooked, they didn't have much of a fresh apple flavor, but they had a taste of all their own. And that was good, and of course we liked to do that. But that's what we did back then. You learned a lot.
Did you make sauerkraut?
Yes, I made sauerkraut, and Harold's mother did too. Make a great big barrel, or had these jars, 25 gallon jars, 10-gallon jars, and of course jars like that now they're antiques. They're expensive. But back then they weren't. But they had huge, big, like I say, 20 and 25 pound, or gallon. And fill them full of sauerkraut or, cabbage. You just have your cabbage all cleaned, big heads, and would cut cut them in two in the middle, and it had a kraut cutter. It was probably about this long, and a foot and a half long, and not very wide. About maybe, I don't know, 8, 10 inches wide across, and in the middle of it, it had I don't know, about 4 blades here in the middle, and we would cut the cabbage heads in half, and they would just fit. If it wasn't too big heads, they would just fit down in there. And of course, it had a ledge on each side that your cabbage would stay in there. And you just push it back and forth across those blades, and have it across your jar or whatever, and your cabbage would go down in there. Get a layer about 4 inches a layer, and then you'd put so much, maybe a handful or 2 of coarse salt. You had to use coarse salt, and sprinkle around on that layer, and then make another layer and put your salt in there around on the layer, and till you got your jar full, and then you'd have generally a board, maybe 2, and it would cover. They were cut to fit down in your jar, and then you put a cloth over it first, clean cloth, and then put your board down on there, and then a weight it down, and in a few days, then you'd look, and it would be brine. That salt with what juice came out of that cabbage made your brine, and then, so it wouldn't take very long. A few days, you'd have sauerkraut. Your cabbage would get sour, and it was good, pretty and white.
We're going to wrap things up in this episode with another song. And David, you have this song. What's the skinny?
The skinny. The skinny is that this is a song called Ragged But Right, and it's by Riley Puckett, who is an amazing guitar player and also blind.
Mm-hmm.
And played with a group called, remind me?
The Skillet Lickers.
Skillet Lickers. Yeah, a fantastic old-time band from the 20s, 30s era.
Kind of the Rolling Stones of that era.
Totally, yeah.
All right, Ragged But Right, here on the Two Cat Kitchen.
If I win or lose, I don't get no blues. Lord, it's gambling and rolling for me. Well, I come here to tell you people I'm ragged but right. Thief and a gambler, I get drunk every night. Get a porterhouse steak 3 times a day for my board. It's more than any loafer in this town can afford. Big electric fan to keep me cool while I sleep. Little baby girls play around at my feet. I'm a rambling gambler and I'm drunk every night. Tell you boys I'm ragged but right. Tell you boys I'm ragged but right.
All right, well, thanks very much, guys. Alpaca Lunch, thank you for being guests on the
thanks.
Two Cat Kitchen.
We had a great time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great
Thank you.
tunes.
Thanks, Ray.
Great band.
Yeah.
That's all we have time for this episode of the Two Cat Kitchen. We'll be back next month with another exciting episode. So catch you next time right here at the Two Cat Kitchen.
The Culinary Two Cat Show.